Humanity had been part of the galactic community for only 7 years. 7 years was nothing. In a galaxy where civilizations had existed for tens of thousands of years, humans were considered barely more than curious newcomers. Some species found them fascinating. Others considered them unpredictable. A few thought humans were dangerous, but most simply watched. Marcus Hale had never expected to become part of history. He was just a diplomat, not a soldier, not a scientist, not a famous explorer, just a man who knew how to talk, which was why he now stood inside the grandest room he had ever seen. The royal chamber of the Varelian Empire. The chamber ceiling arched high above, like a cathedral made of living crystal. Thousands of glowing veins of light flowed through the walls like frozen lightning. Floating platforms drifted silently through the air, carrying silent guards clad in silver armor. Every eye in the room was watching Marcus. Or rather, watching the human. He could feel their curiosity. Humans still looked strange to most alien races. Marcus took a slow breath and reminded himself of his training.
Stay calm.
Stay polite. And above all, don't offend anyone. Easier said than done when standing before the most powerful ruler in this part of the galaxy. At the far end of the chamber stood the alien queen, Queen Alyra of Varelia. Marcus had seen her only through holographic recordings before this moment. The recordings hadn't done her justice. She was tall, taller than any human woman, and moved with an effortless grace that made the air itself seem to part around her. Her skin shimmered faintly with pale violet tones, and delicate patterns of bioluminescent light traced across her arms and neck. Her long silver hair fell like a waterfall down her back. But it was her eyes that held the room captive. Bright gold, ancient, powerful. And at this moment, they were fixed directly on Marcus. The entire chamber waited. Marcus stepped forward carefully. He reminded himself, this is just diplomacy. The humans had come to offer trade agreements and peaceful relations. No big deal. Just negotiations with the Galactic Empire. Behind him, the human delegation stood silent. Marcus reached the center of the chamber and stopped. Queen Alyra descended slowly from her elevated platform. Every movement she made seemed deliberate, graceful, dangerous. Marcus cleared his throat. Your Majesty, he said respectfully. On behalf of the United Human Coalition, I bring greetings and friendship. The translator devices around the room hummed softly as his words echoed in the Varelian language. The queen studied him. For a long moment, she said nothing. Marcus wondered if he'd already made a mistake. Then she spoke. Her voice was smooth and melodic, but it carried the weight of command. Human Marcus Hale. The way she said his name made it sound unfamiliar. Your people are new to our stars. Marcus gave a polite nod. We're honored to be here. Another long silence. Then the queen stepped closer. Much closer. Marcus could now see the faint glowing markings along her skin. They shifted like living constellations. Tell me, she said quietly. Human customs intrigue me. Marcus smiled carefully. Well, we have many. Indeed. Her golden eyes studied him. Show me one. Marcus blinked. A custom. Yes. The entire court leaned forward slightly. Marcus's brain scrambled. What kind of custom did aliens expect? Food? Greetings? Dancing? Then he remembered the most basic thing humans did. Greetings. He smiled and lifted his hand. In human culture, Marcus said, we often greet one another like this. He reached out his hand. For a handshake. It was the most harmless gesture he could think of. Friendly. Simple. Universal. The queen looked down at his outstretched hand. Then she looked back at his face. Something strange flickered in her golden eyes. The chamber had become very quiet. Marcus began to feel uncertain. Had he misread the situation? Maybe aliens didn't shake hands. Maybe. The queen slowly extended her hand. Her fingers were longer than a human's, elegant and slender. She placed her hand in his. Marcus gave a gentle shake. Friendly, professional, simple. Then the entire royal court gasped. Marcus froze. Dozens of alien nobles stared at them in shock. Some looked horrified. Others looked stunned. One guard actually dropped his spear. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Oh no! The queen, however, did not pull her hand away. Instead, her expression slowly changed. From surprise, to curiosity, and finally, to something dangerously close to amusement. Human Marcus Hale, she said softly. Yes, Your Majesty? Her golden eyes sparkled. In Varelian culture, the joining of hands before witnesses is a sacred ritual. Marcus blinked. I'm sorry? She tilted her head slightly. It is our ancient vow of marriage. The chamber exploded into whispers. Marcus felt his brain shut down. Marriage? Yes. The queen smiled. And it was not a small smile. It was the smile of someone who had just discovered something very entertaining. You have just asked for my hand. Marcus stared at her. I was greeting you, but you did so according to our oldest tradition.
Her voice was calm.
Before my entire court, Marcus slowly turned to look at the hundreds of witnesses staring at them. Then he turned back. I swear that wasn't. The queen gently tightened her grip on his hand. Do humans withdraw vows once spoken? Marcus swallowed. Well, sometimes. She leaned closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper only he could hear. How interesting your people are. Marcus felt the entire galaxy collapsing on his shoulders. The queen finally released his hand. Then she turned toward her court. Let it be recorded, she announced. Her voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. That today a human has taken the Varelian marriage vow with their queen. Marcus almost fainted. Part 2. A diplomatic disaster. Within minutes, the entire palace knew. Within hours, the entire planet knew. By the next day, the entire empire knew. And Marcus Hale had become the most famous human in the galaxy. Not because of diplomacy, because he had accidentally proposed to an alien queen. Marcus sat in a private chamber, staring at the floor. I ruined everything. Across the room, Ambassador Chen rubbed her temples. You didn't ruin everything. I married a galactic monarch by accident. Chen sighed. Yes, that part is unfortunate. Marcus looked up. What do we do? Chen leaned back in her chair. Well, according to their laws, the vow is binding unless the queen releases you. Marcus's eyes widened. So, she just has to say it's a mistake? Yes. Marcus jumped to his feet. Then let's go ask her. Chun hesitated. That might not be so simple. Why not? She gave him a tired look. Because the queen has already announced she finds the situation interesting. Marcus froze. That sounds bad. It could be worse.
How?
She could find it insulting. Marcus sat back down slowly. So what now? Chen folded her arms. Now we wait. Part 3. The Queen's Decision. That evening, Marcus was summoned to the royal gardens. Alone.
Which was somehow even more terrifying.
The garden was breathtaking. Floating lanterns illuminated alien flowers that glowed softly in the night. At the center stood Queen Alyra. She looked almost peaceful among the glowing plants. Marcus approached carefully. Your Majesty. She turned to face him. Human Marcus. Her golden eyes seemed amused. You appear troubled. Marcus let out a nervous laugh. I accidentally married you. Yes. And that doesn't bother you? The queen considered that. Not particularly. Marcus blinked.
Why?
She walked slowly around him, studying him like a curious puzzle. Do you know how long I have ruled, Marcus Hale?
No.
3 centuries. Marcus nearly choked. 300 years. Yes. She stopped in front of him. And in those 300 years, every political marriage offered to me has been predictable. Marcus frowned. Predictable? Calculated alliances. Strategic unions. Her golden eyes locked onto his. But never once has someone proposed by accident. Marcus rubbed his face. I didn't propose. Yet you did. She smiled slightly. Before my entire court, Marcus groaned. The Queen stepped closer. Tell me, Marcus Hale, are humans always this honest? Honest.
Yes.
You clearly did not seek power. He shook his head immediately. I definitely did not. Which makes you unusual. Marcus sighed. Your Majesty, if this marriage stands, it could cause serious political complications. Yes. And possibly a diplomatic crisis. Yes. And maybe even war. The Queen looked thoughtful. That would be inconvenient. Marcus nodded eagerly. Exactly. She watched him for a moment. Then she smiled again. Fortunately, I have no intention of starting a war over a handshake. Marcus exhaled in relief. Thank goodness. But, she added calmly, I also have no intention of undoing it immediately. Marcus froze. Wait, what? The Queen turned and walked toward the glowing garden pond. Consider this an experiment. Marcus stared at her. An experiment? Yes. She glanced back at him. You will remain as my consort for 1 year. Marcus's jaw dropped. A year? If after 1 year we decide the arrangement is unsuitable, the vow will be dissolved. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. That is insane. The Queen smiled softly. Perhaps. She stepped closer again. But Marcus Hale, you reached for my hand without fear. Marcus shrugged weakly. I thought it was a handshake. Exactly. Her golden eyes softened. And that alone tells me something fascinating about humans. Marcus sighed. And what's that? She gently took his hand again. This time deliberately. You treat queens like equals. Marcus blinked. I guess we do. She smiled. I find that refreshing. Marcus looked at their joined hands. Well. He took a deep breath. I guess I'm married now. The Queen laughed softly. And somewhere in the galaxy, historians began writing the strangest diplomatic story ever recorded. The day a simple human handshake became a royal marriage.